There's a specific kind of loneliness that comes from lying next to someone who has already left you. It's not the kind of loneliness you feel when you're alone. It's worse, it's the loneliness of being invisible, of being a ghost in your own marriage, watching your wife live a life you're not invited to. For 18 months, I lived in that loneliness. For 18 months, I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself I was the problem, and she told me the same thing. Every time I asked a question, she had an answer. Every time I expressed doubt, she had a diagnosis for what was wrong with me. You're insecure, she'd say, you're controlling. You're suffocating me, and I believed her. I went to therapy to fix myself. I read books about attachment styles. I apologized for caring. I became smaller and smaller, trying to fit into the space she said I needed to occupy. But here's the thing about gaslighting. It only works on people who want to believe the lie. And on my 35th birthday, sitting alone in a restaurant with a cake I'd ordered for myself while she was working late for the 7th time that week, I stopped wanting to believe. I typed 3 words into my phone that changed everything. 3 words I never thought I'd need to search for. 3 words that would cost me my marriage, my sanity, and ultimately set me free. What I found, what those photos showed me, it wasn't just proof of an affair. It was proof that I wasn't crazy. It was proof that my intuition had been screaming the truth while my brain was busy making excuses for her. And the photos arrived on my birthday, the same day she smiled at me across the breakfast table and handed me a wrap gift. This is the story of how I stopped being insecure and started being right. To understand what happened, you need to understand who we were. Or who I thought we were. Jessica and I met in grad school. She was studying marketing. I was in finance. She was fire charismatic, spontaneous, the kind of person who could walk into a room and own it without trying. I was not that. I was steady, reliable, the anchor to her kite. For the first 5 years, it worked. She pulled me out of my shell. I kept her grounded. We bought a house. We talked about kids. We were that couple, the one everyone said was goals. I thought we were unbreakable. The shift was so gradual, I didn't notice it at first. It wasn't one big thing. It was 1,000 small things. She started working later. Then late became midnight. Then midnight became I might just crash at a hotel near the office. It's too far to drive. And every time I asked, every single time I said, "Hey, is everything okay? We haven't really talked in a while." The script was the same. I went to therapy, individual therapy, because she said I was the problem. I sat on a leather couch and told a stranger about my anxious attachment style and my fear of abandonment. I paid someone to help me fix a problem that didn't exist. I read books about codependency. I listened to podcasts about trust. I did the work. I really did. I convinced myself that my feelings were the enemy, that my intuition was just trauma, that if I could just become secure enough, she would come back to me. And for a while, it worked. I stopped asking. I stopped wondering. I stopped paying attention. I buried my head so deep in the sand that I almost suffocated. But here's the thing about burying your head in the sand: you can still hear everything. You just tell yourself you can't. I heard her laugh that night. That specific laugh, the one from when we were dating, the one that meant she was truly happy, truly herself. She hadn't laughed like that with me in years. But there she was, at 1 a.m., laughing with someone on the phone while I lay in the dark pretending to sleep. I didn't confront her. I told myself it was a friend. I told myself I was being insecure. I rolled over and went to sleep. And somewhere in that moment, a small, quiet part of me died. And another part, something colder, something I didn't recognize, started to wake up. My 35th birthday. She'd promised weeks ago she would take the night off. "I know I've been busy," she said, "but your birthday is different. I'll be there. I promise." I believed her. Because that's what I did. I believed her. 7 o'clock came. Then 7:30. Then 8. I texted her at 7:15. "Hey. Running late? No rush, just checking. Read receipt." No reply. 8:15. "Everything okay? Read receipt." No reply. At 8:45, my phone buzzed. I grabbed it so fast I almost knocked over the wine. "Happy birthday," with a heart, like that made it okay. Like that erased the 7 other birthdays she'd missed, the 15 date nights she'd canceled, The 18 months of coming home at midnight smelling like someone else's cologne. I ate the cake alone. I paid the bill alone. I walked to my car alone, and somewhere between the restaurant and the parking garage, something in me just stopped. Stop hoping, stopped waiting, stopped believing that if I was just good enough, patient enough, small enough, she would finally see me again. That night, I didn't go home, not right away. I drove. I drove for hours, through neighborhoods I didn't know, past houses with warm lights in the windows. Families eating dinner, couples watching TV. Normal people living normal lives. And I thought, when did I stop being one of them? When did my life become this waiting room? I ended up at a diner at 2 a.m., drinking coffee I didn't want, when I saw a business card tacked to a bulletin board near the register. Faded. Dog-eared. But the words were still legible. I stared at that card for 10 minutes. My coffee got cold. The waitress asked if I was okay. I said yes. I was lying. But for the first time in 18 months, I was lying to a stranger instead of to myself. I didn't call that night. I went home. I crawled into bed next to her. She stirred, mumbled something in her sleep, and rolled over. I lay there until dawn, holding that card under my pillow, feeling the weight of it. Feeling the weight of what it meant, what it would mean if I was right, what it would mean if I was wrong. I made the call 3 days later. A voice on the other end, gravelly, direct, no nonsense, said, "Come in tomorrow. 10 a.m. Don't be late. No questions, no judgments, just an address and a time." Ray Moretti was exactly who you'd picture. 40 years on the force, 15 as a PI. He'd seen it all: cheating spouses, insurance fraud, missing persons. Nothing shocked him. Nothing fazed him. He was exactly what I needed. Someone who would look at the facts and tell me the truth, even if it hurt. I told him everything. The late nights, the phone calls, the way she'd flinch when I touched her. The new clothes, the new perfume, the new smile that wasn't from me. I told him about the gaslighting, the therapy, the self-help books. I told him about my birthday dinner. By the time I finished, my coffee was cold and my voice was hoarse. I walked out of that office feeling lighter and heavier at the same time. Lighter because I'd finally done something. Heavier because I knew what Ray was going to find. The only question was how bad it would be. The waiting was the hardest part. Not knowing what Ray was seeing, what he was documenting. Every time Jessica walked out the door, I wondered, is this the night? Every time she smiled at me, I wondered, is that guilt? Every time she touched me, I wondered, whose hands were on you yesterday? She lied about the dress. I knew because I did the laundry. I'd never seen it before, but I didn't say anything. I just smiled and watched her leave, and then I sat on the couch and stared at the wall until 2 a.m. when she came home, flushed and giggling, claiming she only had 2 glasses of wine.
The divorce was efficient. Jessica tried to fight it first, sent long emails about how she'd made a mistake, how she wanted to reconcile, how we could get through this. I didn't respond. After a while, the emails stopped, then the calls, then eventually. She just faded into the background noise of my past. We sold the house, split the assets, fair and square. I didn't try to punish her financially, though my lawyer said I could. What would be the point? Money wasn't going to give me back the years I lost. Money wasn't going to undo the therapy sessions where I paid someone to tell me I wasn't crazy. The only thing that was going to heal me was time, and distance, and the slow, painful work of remembering who I was before I tried to become who she wanted me to be. I heard through mutual friends that Cole left his wife, shocker. The guy who cheated on his pregnant wife turned out to be unreliable. Who knew? He and Jessica dated for a few months. It didn't last. Apparently, it's hard to build a relationship on a foundation of lies. Who knew that, either? I spent a year just being single, not dating, not looking, just existing in my own space. Learning to enjoy my own company. I reconnected with old friends I'd neglected. I picked up hobbies I'd abandoned. I remembered that I was a person before I was a husband, and that person was actually pretty okay. I kept going to therapy, not because I was broken, but because I'd learned that having someone to talk to, someone objective, someone who wasn't trying to manipulate me, was actually helpful. My therapist helped me understand that the gaslighting wasn't my fault, that my instincts were right all along, that I wasn't insecure, I was attentive. There's a difference. People ask me if I regret hiring the pie. If I wish I'd just stayed in the dark, stayed comfortable, stayed married to a woman who was never really mine. And the answer is no. Not for a second. The truth hurts. But you know what hurts more? Living a lie. Spending every day wondering if you're crazy, second-guessing your own reality because someone who is supposed to love you keeps telling you that you're wrong. That's not love, that's control. And the only way to break free from it is to find proof that you're not the problem. The photos arrived on my birthday. At the time, I thought it was the worst gift I'd ever received. But looking back, it was the best. Because it gave me something I'd been desperate for, the truth. And the truth, no matter how ugly, is always better than a beautiful lie. I started writing. Just for myself. Notes about what happened, what I learned, who I became. Maybe someday I'll turn it into something bigger, a book, a talk. A way to help other people who are where I was sitting in a dark bedroom at 2 a.m., wondering if they're crazy, wondering if they're enough. You are enough. You are always enough. The problem was never you. The problem was believing someone who needed you to be small so they could feel big. The moment you stop believing them, that's the moment you start to grow. If you're watching this and you recognize yourself in my story, if you're the one lying awake at night, the one being told you're too much or too insecure or too controlling, I want you to hear me. Not your partner. Not your friends. Not the voices in your head telling you to stay small. Me, you are not crazy. Your intuition is not your enemy. It's your survival instinct. It's the part of you that knows something is wrong, even when you can't prove it yet. Don't ignore it. Don't apologize for it. Don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking that wanting honesty makes you insecure. If you need proof, get proof. Hire someone. Document everything. Not because you want to hurt them, but because you deserve to know the truth. And once you know it, you can make a decision from a place of power, not from a place of doubt. I spent 18 months in the dark, 18 months apologizing for existing, and then I spent 1 week with a private investigator and got my life back. Was it worth it? Every single penny. Every single sleepless night. Every single painful photograph. They say the truth will set you free. But first, it will piss you off. It will hurt. It will make you question everything you thought you knew. But on the other side of that pain is a life you actually get to live. A life where you're not performing, not apologizing, not shrinking. A life where you get to be exactly who you are and someone out there will love you for it, not in spite of it. My wife said I was insecure for worrying about her late nights. She was wrong. I wasn't insecure, I was right, and being right truly. Truly right is the best gift I ever gave myself. Happy birthday to me.